Hi there, welcome to I Alone Apply Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Libra energy. And we're going to get out the story. And then we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because, we have to kind of invest in growing and maturing our Libra energy, just like we could have to grow and mature ourselves emotionally. And so people are at different kind of emotional maturity levels in their Libra energy. If we think back on our life when we were 15, 18, 21, 25, the different things we thought and did and how we treated people that we thought was just and fair, and we maybe don't feel that way anymore. So sometimes with some people we can be at all these different ages, and some of the people who are younger are much more just and fair and treat other people the way they like to be treated. When they get in romantic relationships, it's because of love, and sometimes it's some of the people who are older that aren't so just and fair and think it's just and fair and maybe want to get in romantic relationships, but it's not because of love, which can be more just to indulge himself in it, good for ego or image or money or status, male or female. So that's kind of what we're going to do. But we're going to see what this energy is that Libra energy is dealing with right now. So it might more impact people who are a Libra sun sign, rising moon, or got significant Libra placements in their chart. For some of them, it doesn't affect them in a negative way. They harness it in a more high vibe way. For other people, they could harness it more negatively. But it could be impacting Libra energy, and we all tap into Libra energy. So it's kind of interesting. We have these different groupings, and then we have the card that comes out to tell us why that grouping came out. And here we have things that we could love with the King of Cups. Then we have the Tower card, the Door to Spirit, and the Financial Constraints card, which reminds me of Taurus energy, and the Five of Pentacles. High vibe energy in Libra energy, which is kind of like, if we were to look at high vibe energy as God and shadowy energy as more devilish or egoic or immature, high vibe energy wants to give birth to something new. And in order to give birth to something new, the Five of Pentacles moves away from the Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles can just be a foundational way of kind of living life. Just like when we're 18, we live our life like an 18-year-old. Then hopefully we learn lessons, we move on, we move forward to be more like a 21-year-old. And then we're like a 21-year-old, we love it. But then as time goes by, we don't want to keep living our life exactly the same way we've been living it, because life is about kind of listening to your intuition and kind of seeing that part of the reason I might not move forward in life differently. The Five of Pentacles can talk about that I don't love and believe in myself or something. I have a lack mentality. And so if we don't kind of offer love, and the storm warning is kind of like a Tower card, if we don't get inspired in our philosophy of life to offer love to ourselves and work through some of those fears and insecurities or self-limiting beliefs, the opportunity was there for us to move forward, but it's like the divine will always be with us in the Door to Spirit card. But we're going to keep trying to move forward, kind of dragging that old foundation with us, because there's something that we could love that we don't want to let go of. Even though the Tower can kind of be like the universe trying to tell us there's things about that we could love, but we can have people in our life that we love. We could have habits and vices and things kind of that we love. But high vibe energy is about being more balanced. So maybe getting things more in balance. Maybe doing things more moderately, It's kind of like going down the road of life, and we got the ditches, and sometimes we can drive off into the ditch, and then we're going down there for a while and trying to get ourselves back in between the bumper rails of life. So that kind of learning how to stay within balance. And Libra is represented by the scales of justice, which is about balance. Seeing how some things that we could love, people we could love, things we could like to invest our time, energy, and effort into, or kind of indulge in, that if we don't see the truth, some of those things, which is kind of this idea that everything that could happen to us in our life is trying to get us to see the truth of what we need to move away from and what we need to move towards, get more clear about our truth, see what things are kind of more detrimental, which things are more supportive and encouraging, what aspects within ourself kind of drive our own life into the ditch, what thoughts we sit in, what emotions we sit in, what actions and behaviors, pride, ego, laziness, stubbornness, or self-indulgence, how that kind of drives our life off into the ditch. And if we don't, the tower again is trying to illuminate the truth that we all have the possibility to change if we're willing to see the truth and deal with the truth. Other people all have the free will choice to change, but we can't make other people change. And the fives talk about change. We can offer love to other people who maybe the tower could represent. Some people we could align with other people who, kind of shakes things up in the world, with this kind of like being a tornado and in the water, so emotionally. When other people are not willing to keep kind of going with the status quo, Libra can be kind of about our staying stuck, not wanting to see the truth, trying to be a people pleaser. Libra is represented by the 2, the 3, and the 4 of swords. And the 2 of swords is kind of like the person sitting there with the blindfold on. It's like, well, I don't know. Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? I like these people. I like those people. I want all these people to like me. I don't want to be associated with one or the other. I kind of like to, I don't know, not pick a path, And the whole thing is, we live in a world of duality where people have to make choices, and some people really don't like to make choices. They would rather just, I don't know, regardless of how much it might destabilize them, they're not going to make a choice in a way. It's always waiting for other people to make a choice, and that could be to their detriment. They might be left out in the cold, because other people have free will, and they might not just sit around waiting for other people to make a choice. And sometimes we got to see the truth. If other people have made gestures to us to work together with us in a more just and fair and loving way, and then we're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to. Well, those people might see the truth of it, and they'll let that person be, and they'll move on. The opportunity to choose to temper your ego, offer love to yourself. But a problem can be is some people think, well, I don't think I have to do that. I think someone else should do that. Well, that could be a little shadowy energy of people who are, the tower in shadow can represent that people are aligned with their more shadowy, prideful, egotistical, immature, self-indulgent. I don't have to change, just other people have to change. Some people could be full of themselves, whatever, shadow energy. It's a big long list of our shadowy nature as human beings. And some people could stay in that energy and they don't want to see the truth. And they just keep thinking, oh no, like I can act this way and I can do this and I can do that. There'll always be maybe people in my life who will kind of indulge me in that way of being. Well, loving people can indulge people for quite a long time because they love them. whether you're my adult child, brother, sister, mom, dad, long-term friend, or coworker. But there comes a time people can be loving and encouraging to people, kind of trying to be a good leader and a good example in the world of kind of what's just and fair, and hope some other people kind of get the hint, and they're trying to lead people forward. Like, do you see the truth that maybe in their Four of Pentacles, which can kind of represent, I don't want to open up, I don't want to give of myself, I don't want to learn lessons in life, I'm fearful, I'm afraid, I'm selfish. And the other people are trying to teach them kind of, you can give of yourself to other people and be loving and encouraging and supportive. It doesn't mean, it's just if that's your truth. And, you can treat other people that way. It doesn't make you, weak at all with everybody in the world that we meet. At the grocery store, at the gas station. You can treat people in a just and fair and authentic and loving kind of way, with respect. Treat them the way you like to be treated. It's not asking too much of you. But for some people, giving anything of themselves, maybe some people think, but again, that can be a very, why wouldn't someone freely give of themselves just to be nice and kind and try to make somebody else's day better? Maybe because they're very unstable and insecure within themselves. Maybe you could feel people, it's not I guess if people always kept being rude or something in response, but it's kind of to also listen to your intuition. It's like trying to go up and have a friendly conversation with someone when you see they're in an agitated or irritated, or they're not a very friendly seeming person. Maybe try to connect in with your emotions to look to find the people who might seem to be a little more open to, some light conversation in a friendly kind of way. We could all imagine being at the grocery store or something, even, or the coffee shop, or getting gas. And if the person behind the counter does not seem, you can live your truth and just be yourself, be cordial the way you would with anyone. Maybe some other people, you might say something like, oh, whatever, I really like that shirt, or oh, I like your nails, or love your hair, if you wanted to. Or, in response to them saying something like, yeah, damn, it is so windy out. Just anything, right? And some people, listen to your intuition and kind of let them have their peace, which might not be having any banter, right? But to kind of go back to what I was talking about, Libra can be our public politician persona, and some people in their Libra energy, goes back to that Two of Swords, they never want to pick a path. And because they never really commit to, the kings can kind of represent operating more from your ego nature. And some people, it is kind of to wear this false mask. And so people could kind of view them as not being more authentic, and that they are operating from a more shadowy energy, you could look at it as a way of wanting to interact and talk with people, but you're just not kind of more authentically yourself. And it can be kind of a way to try to manipulate people. And some people are more defensive and averse to that than other people. Most of us know kind of the process of becoming more confident within yourself and more like high vibe Leo energy. Takes time, and but some people, if they kind of think, you've been that way all your life, or how long have I known you, and I just don't care to deal with it. Anyway, the opportunity is there for people to change their life. We always have the free will to offer truth and love, treat other people the way we like to be treated, and then get out of our ego to accept those people have their free will. Don't get in our ego about it. It's like, okay, I see you're not on the same page. I wish you peace, and you keep moving on. The Five of Pentacles is seeing the truth of other people's Four of Pentacles foundation. Are they people who are open to love and being more just and fair and listen to their intuition? And the difference between the four and the five in the one pentacle can be, in high vibe, the pentacle can talk about truth and love and willing to temper your ego to learn lessons in life. Are they those kind of people? Well, then I'm going to move forward with those people. And then there's other people who kind of want to wear a false mask, but maybe because some other situation didn't work out in their life, they're looking for other people to get in a relationship with because they feel left out in the cold. Sometimes they purposely could go towards people that they think have went through something that could have been very disruptive in their life, or people that they think also kind of wear a false mask or might be more in a shadowy Taurus energy, more just caught up in the world and make their life more about either things they indulge in or being in a relationship to be in a relationship, or more out of pride and ego or lust or greed or whatever. And they could go look for people like that to get in a relationship with if they're kind of shadowy and other people kind of saw the truth of it and moved on. You know, other people have had people move on from them. They've moved on from other people. And they are also maybe looking not to find someone who's moving forward in a relationship with someone else who also might not be in a relationship. But it's not like preying upon them to try to manipulate them, you know. I went through a difficult time too. Did you go through a difficult time? And, you know, looking to find people and listening to your intuition who are kind of more of the shadowy people who seem to maybe go through things like other human beings, but they seem to have a more hopeful, believing spirit. And high vibe Taurus, we could think they are who they say they are. And, you know, they're on a journey and going through life experiences just like we are and trying to find people who are more on the same page. What's going on in Libra energy over here? We have the strategy, the world, envy, and love. Well, some people, some people could want to be viewed as loving, and maybe that's not the truth of who they are, but it would be good for their ego and their image if other people viewed them as more loving. So they might try to get in a relationship with someone who's more loving. We're going to go through this a couple times about different stories. But they could try to have a new beginning with someone who might be a little guarded and defensive because of their own friendships and relationships that they've gone through, or job experiences. But that person might be more, harness these energies in a more high vibe way, and more inspired by love than operating more from their ego nature. But, and then other people could be kind of jealous of people who are more loving. They could also think they're suckers. You know, you don't get it. They could think loving people don't see the truth of this world. Other people are just going to try to manipulate and control you. And I decided a long time ago to quit aligning with my loving nature, the shadowy people say. But, you know, since you are loving, somebody's going to try to manipulate and control you. I might as well do it. But then the whole time they're in a relationship with a loving person who could obviously be more tempered in their ego, more loving, more giving, more authentic, more encouraging, more just, more fair. And of course, they like to think of themselves as just and fair. But they don't have these illusions about love like these people. But they're still kind of jealous because they could be more authentic. However, it's Leo, Aquarius, and like Sagittarius. And this is Aquarius and Capricorn. No, this is Aries and Scorpio. But they could want to be in relationship with people that are loving, just like other people want to be in relationship with people who are just and fair and loving. And that's kind of why they're jealous of them. They might put in a lot of work in the world, strategies, kind of like the Ace of Swords. I have an idea. And they could even want people to be jealous and envious of them. So they decide, in order to have maybe these things of the world and people to view them a certain way, they had this idea not to work through and offer love to their more shadowy way of being. No, we just don't show people that truth of who we are. We wear a false mask and we go out in the world being jealous and envious of other people. We don't deal with it. We don't free ourselves from it. And then try to get in relationships with other people who are more just and fair and loving, so that other people will view us as just and fair as loving. And it's nice to be in a relationship with people who are like that, but then they're always jealous and envious and competitive with them. Have any of you been in a relationship with someone romantic or like someone who you viewed as like a good friend, but it's always like, I don't know, treating you like the competition they have to defeat, or belittling and berating things that kind of motivate and inspire you, like, well, that's dumb, I don't know why you do that, and I don't know. It's just like, how about you are better at these things and those things, and how about I might have my things, and how about it's not an issue, and I like doing certain things and you like doing certain things, and what you do isn't seen, has to be more important or whatever than the things that I like to do. If we find them inspiring and kind of fulfilling and not hurtful to anyone or ourselves, what's the big deal? But if you've been around competitive people, it can always be that kind of thing. And then sometimes shadowy people, they have a lot of they harness these energies in a more shadowy way. They don't want to see that they do defend their more immature nature. And that they also might not want to see the truth that they are more shadowy, prideful, manipulative, defensive, possibly compensate for all of that by being more egotistical and narcissistic and full of themselves to compensate for their own lack mentality. And some people could have put maybe a lot of work to compete. That can be like envy and shadowy Leo. And anybody can harness these zodiac sign traits and characteristics I'm talking about to have a lot of status and image. Leo and Aquarius, and then Capricorn. No, that is not Capricorn there. We have no Capricorn on the table. Let's get that clear. But, Aries can be about kind of being about the self and a little full of yourself. And Scorpio can be a little more emotionally shallow and superficial. So some people, because they were jealous of other people in the world, maybe could have really emotionally invested in having a certain image or status in the world, or their physique, or their looks, or whatever it is that makes them feel like they're competing in the world successfully, because Leo energy can be about moving forward in a way that kind of looks victorious and successful, and Aquarius can kind of be looking like a shining star in the world. And also, if at one time people had been more defensive to them, and some people could have even been jealous, some people could have been loving people at one time, and other people were kind of defensive of being in friendship or relationship, because they weren't those kind of people. And They really wanted to be like those type of people, so they gave up their more loving nature to align with their more shadowy nature and wanting to be part of a group or a club, or even more about being about ego and image and status, and we've got to make choices in our free will. And some people could have been loving people, they could have been in loving relationships, but then, at any given time, we can be tempted to detach from our more loving nature and align with our more egoic or defensive nature. We could have been in relationships with people who were kind of hurtful and unkind or unjust or manipulative, and people could have decided, that's it, I'm done. And so then they kind of gave up. Aquarius can talk about our dreams. They kind of gave up on having more hope and faith and belief and love because of some shadowy people they knew in their life. And some people, they love themselves and they're more about themselves and they indulge their more immature nature. Well, those people, the most important thing in their life, for one thing, could be to try to destabilize, hurt, tear down, hurt the reputation of people who are more authentic, loving, more inspiring, look at life from a higher perspective, do not want other people to view them that way. So it doesn't matter if they're deceptive or manipulative, not telling the truth. They just don't want people to view more emotionally mature, stable, grounded, loving people as being that. It's kind of like they want to take their place. And so sometimes, like, people will be, it's like throwing people under the bus and kicking them to the curb and maybe almost getting in relationship with them. And if those people ever see through the illusion of who they are, they're going to do everything they can to try to tear them down. Because, especially like a narcissist who tries to wear their false mask and present themselves as like this pillar of society and a just and fair loving person when they're really immature. And it's all to try to steal from other people. So if I can tear that person down and maybe be so hurtful and unkind and unjust that those people really feel left out in the cold and go align myself with other people instead of moving forward with them, because the high vibe people in their life at a core foundational level are aligned with hope and faith and belief and love. That is their truth and their philosophy of life, hoping those people will feel so rejected. And then it's like trying to get high vibe people in the same energy they're in. I'm mad, I'm envious, I'm jealous, I'm not willing to be authentically myself. I have a lot of mental conflict. I haven't learned to love and believe in myself. I haven't tempered my ego. You seem to have done that. You want me to do that. And maybe if you see that's not my truth, you, after offering truth and love and encouragement, might realize your dream can't come into reality with me and you're going to leave. Well, that's when some of those people can kind of go scorched earth on some people, really be hurtful and unkind, all while wearing their false mask in the world, and probably not telling the truth, maybe playing the poor, poor, pitiful me victim as being left out in the cold, and hoping that the loving people will be so hurt that, and then them taking action more out of pride and ego and wanting the loving people in their life to feel left out in the cold, go get in another relationship, all for the purpose to make the other person maybe feel left out in the cold, hoping to destabilize them and make them question everything they believed in because some of these people could have went through some situations like that, or that's just the type of person they are. And then if the loving people are so confused and manipulated by people who at one time they viewed as just and fair and loving people, do kind of drive their life off into the ditch, then these people can step in and say, see, I'm the more just and fair and authentic and loving person, not them. And isn't that wicked? I'm going to do all these hurtful, unkind, sabotaging, deceitful, unjust, unfair things. But then I think it's just and fair if it hurts them so bad that then I'm going to claim that I was the one who had a core foundational level, was the one who was more just and fair and motivated and inspired to act with love and character and integrity. That would be like high vibe Taurus. But all the while hiding beneath their image that they present, that is really they're operating from ego. Being deceptive, being manipulative. All because they're mad that someone else wanted them, God forbid, to maybe work through some issues that kind of manipulate them. That make it difficult for them to be more authentic and vulnerable and loving in a relationship. And the whole thing is, though, some of those people, they, we have the free will if we want to work through those things or not. And if they don't want to, they could just be upset that people aren't willing to stay in a relationship with them. But, when we get in relationships with people, there's a lot of things to work through in a relationship, right? And so we can work through a lot of things in a relationship. The high vibe people want to have a new beginning is what the sun can talk about. Let's see, how many are there? The hostilities card, actually, it only shows one, but generally I think of the hostilities card as like the 5 of swords, but both the 5 and the 7 of swords are these difficult times in relationships that, we can move forward in something. We think it's just and fair, because Libra is like the 4 of swords. We move forward in something, and the 5 of swords can be, I think I'm on the same page as you, you think you're on the same page as me, and we go on this adventure, and we go have this new beginning. And we move forward. But, we're emotionally complex human beings. That's kind of what the Tower with some Scorpio energy in there can talk about. There's a lot of things that shape how we view ourselves, how we view others, what we think is just and fair, and how we think it's just and fair to treat other people. And also, kind of at a core foundational level with the first chakra of what really more drives and motivates us. Is it more being in a more Taurus, Leo, worldly view life, where it's more about being in a relationship to be in a relationship because we feel left out in the cold, we're codependent. That's what these energies could represent. Being in a relationship more for the ego or the image or the status, or maybe fire sign energy, maybe the sex. We can all get, if again, we look back at all the different friendships and relationships we've been in, if we were to look back and think, what really kind of more was kind of the thing I had in common with some of those people when I could have gotten in friendships or relationships. Sometimes it was because other people were in a friendship or relationship, or people moved away and we were looking for a new friend or a new best friend. Could we have been hurt? Especially if they, the relationship didn't work out. Or just even maybe the envy could be kind of sad that, again, people can move towns, and then we're trying to find some people who are more on the same page as us, and then we might find someone else, there's nothing wrong with that. But that might be more kind of the common thread that we had as something that could bring us together in a relationship. And maybe we were more immature, or maybe we were indulging ourselves in the world, and we kind of like to indulge ourselves in some of the same things, and that was kind of the common bond, right? Well, then as we kind of go through an experience with people, hopefully we like each other enough that hopefully we're being loving and encouraging to each other to help each other work through some of the issues that we have, or maybe we both kind of grow up, or we kind of quit indulging so much, and some things we used to indulge in, maybe some of the things we used to go do, we don't go do anymore, just because you grow up over time, and some things you do at certain ages of life that you don't really do that much, and then maybe you don't have a lot of other things in common. That was the person I always called to go to a concert. That was the person I always called to, and every summer, and when the festival season happened in towns, and we would go, and, we maybe keep in touch more here and there during the year, but then maybe not so much. So it can be things like that, but it could have been we were more inspired to want to manifest some of these things of the world, which I do think all of us for the first 30 to 50 years, you can be a more loving, more worldly, more shadowy person, but we can all want some of these things that we want to manifest in the world. And Taurus energy can talk about friendships and relationships and jobs and careers and marriages. And sometimes that's kind of why a relationship more move forward. If that maybe wasn't something like, say we woke up tomorrow on a planet, or in a reality where I don't know, you kind of live your life, and maybe more like a futuristic computerized world where I can go to this house and it's like this family. And then, you know, they kind of know me and I know them, but you don't have to get in. I don't know, it'd have to be like, I guess, it would kind of have to be a fantasy world, but where I could just go there, and then you're not looking to get in relationships with people for that, because everybody's going to have that if they wanted it. And that's how you go about getting it, right? But that's not the world we live in. So if we want those things, we do kind of either need to find some way around it, or we're looking for someone to be in a relationship with that we hope, kind of has that same dream and kind of inspired by that same dream. And we move forward with them. And we can do this in friendships and relationships. The marriage thing, that one's kind of different. But so long as we're all willing to kind of grow and heal and mature ourselves and temper our ego, not become more defensive, like, well, that's outside my comfort zone, and, well, I didn't ever expect to do that. And that's the thing about this philosophy of life that we have. Like, and sometimes we don't even know kind of the truth at a core foundational level of what some of our truths are until we kind of go on those journeys, like, and some of it you never thought would maybe come up because of the way you think, the way you live your life. You think, well, of course this is the way it's going to be. Like, say people were to get married and then they live in a town, but maybe that town or something is really kind of industry specific, but they'd always planned, or at least one of the people had always really planned that they were going to live there like all their life. But then something happens, and the way they were moving forward and the way they thought the dream was going to come into reality, that didn't work. And then the journey card, kind of Sagittarius and Aries energy, kind of like you got to take a leap of faith to, have some hope and faith, kind of in belief in yourself that, I think we can detach from this way of living life or this location. And it's kind of having that hope and belief that will it be the same, or what we have maybe in this spot. I mean, if you've lived somewhere all your life or all your family lives there, no. But do you have hope and faith and belief that, that over time you could meet new people and get acquainted, kind of build that abundance that you could feel like you have here somewhere else, or at a different job or moving to a different town or something like that. And that can be when some people really could realize some truths about themselves that they didn't even think they'd even have to think about. And it really, can be disruptive because, well, I thought it was going to go like this and you thought it was going to go like that. And we both thought it was going to, but the Tower card too of the Storm card is kind of like, oh, what's that phrase? People plan and God laughs, It's kind of like God wants us to, you could look at it this way. I don't think you have to be religious, but in a world of duality, I think high vibe energy wants to keep giving birth to new things, and that is like high vibe Leo and the third chakra of your life force energy. You have the potential to shed, as just like you went through age 15, 18, and 21, throughout your life, you have the potential to keep shedding old versions of yourself as you learn lessons in life. Is it going to be challenging? Yes, because it requires you to have that more hopeful, believing spirit within yourself instead of aligning with your more fearful and defensive nature within yourself and your fear of change and your fear of having a new beginning or believing in yourself or loving yourself, stepping maybe outside your comfort zone. Not everything that we go pursue, that can kind of be Scorpio energy, which is emotional water sign energy, but it's about willing to explore the mysteries of life, ourself, and the world, and not let our more emotionally fearful nature manipulate us. Is everything that we're going to go pursue going to work out the way we want? No. But in everything that happens, there's valuable life lessons because, again, all of these experiences are to help us get more clear about what our truth is, what our truth isn't. Did we listen more to our intuition, or did we listen more to our ego and thought we know best? And pride comes before the fall, and I view Libra as King of Swords, which can be, we can be bright and smart, and we can be attractive and charming and whatever we got going on. But if we don't listen to our intuition, and I think that's what high vibe energy is wanting us to learn, we have more to work with than just these things of the world that we've been given. We've been given our creative, inspired, intuitive nature at a core foundational level. That was a gift that was given to us. Just like bats have sonar, but a bat doesn't have free will. And a bat, it just runs more on instinct and trusts it. Why can I do that? I don't know, but I can. And other people as human beings, though, we do get more conditioned by the world to conform to the world. Other people maybe don't like it when we're more hopeful or believing or shining our light in the world. So we can kind of dim our light in the world. But hopefully, as we go through some phases of life like that and kind of not let it destabilize us or make us give up on our dreams. And again, sometimes you might have to temper yourself in different environments, maybe a little survival instinct there. But then hopefully we keep having hope and faith and belief in ourselves and our dreams, and we don't let our own shadow nature and other shadowy people in the world stop us from believing in ourselves and believing in our dreams, and do the best that we can to distance ourselves from people in our life who we come to see might be more about themselves or competitive or have ulterior, not loving intentions, more just about how it benefits them. Love is supposed to be equal give and take. But regardless, with the best intentions, people can be upset. And even some of the people who kind of could have come into their own and kind of looked at life differently in high vibe Aquarius, to look at life from a higher perspective. And it's like, yeah, I was all caught up in the world, and I was more in kind of that more envy, competitive energy in the world, to compete in the world. And I want these things, and I want to look like a shining star, and I want to manifest these certain things. And, some people did whatever they did or got caught up in whatever they got caught up in. And it kind of makes me think of the Bible verse that talks about something about making your life about all these things of the world. You can have this and you can have that. But if you don't have love, it's like this resounding gong, and that shadowy Scorpio energy. And you could make your life just all about you. Is that really anything to be proud of at a core foundational level? Even though you might have people willing to move forward with you in a relationship and kind of indulge you in a relationship, well, you can know the people who are abusive or bossy or controlling or have more fearful codependent people in their life, which it might look by worldly standards like not everybody knows that about them, and they could try to present themselves like they have the kind of life like other people have. But those people would be definitely jealous and envious of people who know that the people they're in relationships with aren't in the relationship more out of fear or insecurity or codependency, and knowing those people aren't trying to bully and intimidate and control the other people. And you can bet those people would probably be jealous and envious of those people, even though they could free willingly live their life like that too, but maybe too defensive to trust or being hurt or being vulnerable. So they keep living life the way they live it. And the people who didn't let shadowy people or their own more being consumed with themselves, nature, those people freed themselves. And those people keep shedding old versions of themselves. It's like the knowledge of the tree of good and evil within you. All the seeds were planted of all the possible yous that you could become. It's just, which one are you going to indulge and stand up for your more immature nature and detach from your more hopeful, believing, loving nature? Let that option go? Or do you stand up and defend your more authentic, hopeful, believing nature and detach from your more shadowy energy and free yourself to go live your more authentic life? And when we make those choices within ourselves, we kind of make choices about the different people in our life. Some of the shadowy people in our life are the people, we can have shadowy people in our life right now that we are working with, in friendship with, somehow or another. Those people want us to keep being defensive, to believing in ourselves, keep being more codependent, keep being more manipulated by the ego or the image. And some of those people are like, I could do that. And some people, it could really be a struggle that they're going through. There could be other people who they know the world can be learning lessons in life. So there could be high vibe people in their life that they know they've seen the truth. They are more motivated by love, and the world can talk about ending a cycle. They're not going to be in more mismatched relationships anymore, and they've seen through the illusion of some people in their life. And they've gotten out of their ego about those people and kind of gotten back to getting balanced within themselves. And those people are moving forward in the world. And then, it's up for the other people to decide, what's my truth? Are the people that I'm in friendship or relationship with, am I in a relationship with them more for pride, ego, fear, insecurity, codependency? Are they in a relationship with me for those reasons? Is by high vibe people living their truth, it makes other people upset because it starts to make them question what their truth is. And it could illuminate even to themselves, and they don't like it, a truth that if some other people hadn't freed themselves from some things that manipulated them, they could keep going on in their life, maybe thinking, I'm a much more stable, grounded, mature person than those people or something. And then when those people free themselves from something and really are moving forward in life differently, and even, you know, sometimes when we have driven our life off into the ditch, we could feel like a little envious and jealous that we kind of drove our life off into the ditch because some other people, like, damn, I wish I had whatever, because those people seem like they're so far ahead of me. Well, sometimes, things have a way of balancing out. But sometimes some people didn't learn some of the lessons that other people learned when they did drive their life off in the ditch. And they still need to learn those lessons, but they haven't learned them yet. So they might have to learn that lesson. Oops, got an alarm on my phone. They might have to learn that lesson later in life. Other people could have been living their life maybe more age appropriately and learning some lessons while some other people were really putting a lot of work into other things that made them seem more victorious and successful and stable. And nothing to take away from that. But as some people work through some issues and start moving forward in life, they could have learned some lessons then that some other people hadn't learned. They're kind of moving forward, and the other people, they could have thought, I have no problem moving forward in life, but they might have been counting more on their looks or their charm or their money or their status or whatever. And they can't really move forward the way they want to. They can try, but it doesn't work out because there's some lesson back here that they didn't learn. And so while they kind of get stuck in something, some other people who did learn that lesson move on. So the basic idea there is don't give up on yourself and your dreams, whatever age and whatever things happen in your life. When you are willing to offer love and compassion and forgiveness to yourself for the mistakes you've made and see where you need to heal and grow and mature yourself, that alone, even if other people don't see it or know it, kind of energetically, just in your willingness to learn and be a student of life and be more tempered in your ego and maybe more compassionate to other people, will pay off in the long run. Some people maybe with the Leo energy here and the Eight of Wands kind of could have seemed like things were really going in their favor in a lot of ways, but part of the reason could have been because not really having kind of put in the groundwork of learning some lessons in life that you have. So again, a little bit of the turtle and the hare coming through in this reading. And I have another channel called Tarotland Soap Opera, and I think that was in the Aries reading. Keep having hope and faith and belief. Don't let things that try to block you, because shadowy energy will try to block and stop you, just like we could look at the devil trying to stop God. There's going to be shadowy energy within you, shadowy people in the world that are trying to stop people from loving and believing in themselves, being more independent, listening to their intuition, believing in themselves. But if you keep doing that, it's kind of like shadowy energy has to go find someone else. If you keep taking action in your truth, not letting it destabilize you, not make you react and interact in ways that aren't aligned with your truth and your peace and your balance, and let people, if they want to jump up and down and do all these things, I'm not going to start throwing logs on the fire and jumping up and down with you. I'm going to maintain my balance, speak my truth in love, try to work with people cooperatively, and the more they probably won't like it, and they'll go on to find someone else who will kind of get in the dirt with them, and then you're like free to go. Let's go see. So there's probably some shadowy people right now trying to destabilize some people, wanting to hurt other people in order for them to feel powerful in like a shadowy energy, and make it seem like they're more victorious and successful or have more going on in their life than other people, leaving them out in the cold just to make themselves. It's a false sense of empowerment. Trying to feel powerful off of other people feeling bad. It's always codependent on the other people feeling bad. And when the other people work through it and see the truth of it, you're not very nice, you're not just, you're not fair, you're immature, and those people move on, then it upsets those people. It's like the ego balloon comes back down to earth because they weren't investing in something that was worthwhile to actually be proud of. The shadowy people are probably doing it all over again with someone else. Go get a new job, new friend, new relationship. Try to create an illusion that they're this just and fair and loving person, but they're defensive of learning lessons, defensive of tempering their ego, kind of more about themselves, stubborn, petty, envious, jealous, controlling, lazy, whatever their things are. Shadowy energies trying to cheat the justice system. Shadowy Libra trying to defeat high vibrational Libra. The only thing is, love wins. The devil loses. Some people keep doing this over and over and over because they don't want to see the truth. They like to view themselves as these certain types of people, but they don't want to see the truth. No, you're bossy. No, you're immature. No, you're controlling. No, you're full of yourself. No, you don't listen to your intuition. You try to manipulate or control people. The high vibe people have detached from harnessing this energy in a more shadowy way. And when they detach from harnessing it in a more shadowy way, they didn't, it could have been something in various degrees of that energy, could have been what kind of kept them in connection with some other people. What is it? The Magician in the Mirror, which is Virgo and Gemini energy. And Gemini is about our dualistic free will. And Virgo can be about our long-term kind of goals. And again, a lot of us are more codependent and really caught up in these things of the world for the first 30, 50 years of our life. And that is a more shadowy Gemini Virgo. But hopefully as we go on this journey of life, we do come more into our own. We quit letting these things of the world and our more immature and worldly nature and all that, and our ego and stuff like that manipulate us. And then we do get inspired to look at life differently and are more inspired to live our more authentic truth and be more independent. And that's what some people didn't think other people maybe would ever tap into because they don't. But that's high vibe Gemini and Virgo. I am willing to do the work, to work through these issues within myself and of my past. I do have more hope and faith and belief in myself than some other people I've met in life. Basically is what people would tell themselves. Or, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just, I don't care who else does what they do, but within myself, I don't like operating more from my ego. I don't like, I want to get to the truth. I want to heal and grow and mature myself. I don't like feeling unstable. I don't like getting in situations and they blow up in my face. I want to see the truth. The only person I can change is me, and I am willing to change me. I can't change everyone else. And for a long time, I could have been trying to change other people, and I'm done doing that. I'm willing to get to know people, but if they show me they harness these energies in a more shadowy way, I'm going to accept the truth, wish them peace, and kind of keep my distance from them. And that's when some shadowy people cannot like it that you have been illuminated to the truth about people like them, and you have less patience for them. And because sometimes shadowy people are looking for loving people that, oh, I bet this person's going to put a lot of work and effort to try to get me to heal and grow and mature myself. That'll be great being in a friendship with them. Little do they know I am not motivated and inspired to do that. But so long as they want to be loving and encouraging and supportive, it'll be great to hang around them. But I'm not doing that. And, that's when people have done enough life where it's like, I'm done trying, you know, because that's kind of us maybe a little bit in our own ego God complex. Oh my gosh, I'm going to offer truth and love and encouragement to people. I'm going to change people. I'm going to help them work through their stuff. I can be a loving, encouraging, and supportive person to someone and not get in a more involved relationship until I get to know the truth of what really drives and motivates them. Now, we could have tried to do that with some people, and again, some people wear a very good false mask, and we do get in the relationship more involved with them. But then when we see the truth, we can be tempted in our more worldly nature and ego to keep trying to make it work. And after time, after time, after time, it's like, God's like, are you willing to see the truth? They don't, in their Gemini nature of free will, their truth, and their Virgo nature, and their Aquarius, and their Libra, and their Leo, and their Sagittarius, their truth is not your truth. They do not view life the way you view it. If you want to keep staying in it, you can. But if you want the justice you deserve, you need to see the truth, get out of your ego about it, wish them peace, and go find people in the world who are more on the same page as you. Because those are the people you can manifest your dreams into reality with. This is like an angel and a devil being in a relationship, each trying to convince the other person to do life the way they do it. And it's like, but that's not my truth. Well, I'm not going to do it your way. Well, I'm not going to do it your way. It's like, if I have love for myself and love for them, I'm going to let them go live their life the way they want. But that might mean I won't be there. That might mean I will not be there, and I will be keeping my distance. They can have their truth, and I can have my truth. And there's some people I no longer want to manifest with. Because some people, I do think, do create an illusion, is what the magician's about. They're not truthful. They're not authentic. They're not who they say they are. And I saw through the illusion, and yeah, the people who you're not indulging anymore definitely don't like that. And the high vibe people are moving forward, having new beginnings, moving forward with the people in their life who keep working together with them in this energy, harnessing those zodiac signs I talked about in a more high vibe way, and getting to know other people and listening to their intuition about who's who. And I think because you're taking action, listening more to truth and love to guide the decisions that you make than fear, insecurity, jealous, envious, lack mentality, those are like planting good seeds, eating good food. But the other people, again, sometimes you have to go through a period of feeling left out in the cold and standing in your truth and being strong and giving yourself the things you wish other people would have given you. And that can be an opportunity for people to do this inner work. That lays the foundation. I want to work through some of all that bullshit. I want to invest in my own unique talent, skills, and interests. Have a good foundation within myself. Learn to love myself. Learn to be loving and encouraging. Offer love and forgiveness to things from my past. See how some of those things manipulated me and the decisions I made in my life. Then people will be ready. And maybe not until people complete some of those things can they really move forward. And other people could start to do that. Well, now I feel left out in the cold. Well, now I'm kind of in my ego. Well, now I kind of want, and so then they go back and repeat an old pattern. And then we get tangled up in something we maybe shouldn't have gotten tangled up with to begin with. And then we have a hard time getting out. And again, no, I don't have to change. I just need to go get in a relationship with someone else and get them to change. Everybody has to be willing to work cooperatively with people, and everybody has to be willing to change. And some people think, well, I think those people, they have more things to work on. I'll go get in a relationship with them, and then it's kind of them being in their ego. See, look how much they have to do. I know they got a lot of work to do. I know they really pissed me off. And then it's kind of this false sense of, can they be loving and encouraging and patient? Yeah, but why are they staying in a relationship with someone who does all that shit? And that's when it finally blows up. They don't realize how much it worked and wore away at their own foundation and self-esteem sometimes, unless they were really doing this work to maintain balance within themselves. Because again, it's kind of a false sense of empowerment. Putting up with other people's bullshit is not really... Oh no, this is building my self-worth. Yes. Did you see how they treated me today? And I put up with it, Go find people who are more on the same page as you. What's coming up for people who might harness some more high vibe Libra energy that they don't see coming? The Six of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Three of Swords. So it's kind of interesting. Well, this is Taurus, this is Virgo. Both earth sign energies about putting in work and effort. Because the high vibe people wanted to get to the truth and feel more balanced within themselves, they put in the work and effort. In the Six of Pentacles, the sixes can talk about getting more balance within yourself. And when you get more balance within yourself, maybe then, that is something to be proud of. And I worked through some of the things that used to keep me tipped out of balance. And then that, is something to be proud of. High vibe Virgo is kind of like, learning these lessons, tempering your ego, dealing with the truth, learning how to love yourself to get more balance within yourself, knowing your worth and value, appreciating what you bring to the table, your own unique talent, skills, and interests. And as you do that, from the 6 to the 9, you let go of a more shadowy, worldly Three of Pentacles of operating from your more worldly nature and your Capricorn energy, which can be more, well, for one, shadowy. Capricorn is represented by the devil, and we all tap into Capricorn energy. Just being more manipulated by the world and these things of the world that you could have wanted, and becoming more independent of that, and now harnessing a more high vibrational Capricorn energy within yourself, which is freeing yourself from the devil and things that used to manipulate you. And then you want to work together with people who are more operating that from that foundation than the old foundation. And the Six of Pentacles can also talk about exchanging an old foundation for a new foundation. So just like I used to live life like an 18-year-old, and now I'm living life more like a 21-year-old, and that's more what I'm focused on. And eventually that becomes your new foundation. I don't live my life like an 18-year-old anymore, for example. And as you are more balanced within yourself and not investing more time, energy, and effort and being caught up in your head and upset about or in your ego about people who aren't working with you more cooperatively and focusing on your truth and your life and maybe your stability and your security at a foundational level to love yourself, feel more stable and abundant within yourself, and maybe your career or something like that with the pentacles out there, um, you're getting justice. And as you do that, other people can see you doing that. Other people, again, can be jealous and envious. And other people could admire it and want to move forward with you. Just like some of the other people in your life that live their life like that. But you can do this and other people in the world can do this. And then as you're moving forward, it frees you up when you're not focusing your time, energy, and effort on the people who don't work together with you in that way. It frees you up to have these new opportunities to meet people who are on that same page. What's coming up for the people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Libra energy? The Star, the Ten of Cups. Oh, that they don't see coming. The Two of Swords, the Knight of Wands, and the Four of Cups. And the reason is because of the Five of Pentacles. Well, the shadowy people don't want to take that cup of love. The Four of Cups kind of talks about we all have the free will to take that cup of love. To offer love to ourselves about all the things in our life that didn't work out the way we had wanted, and to love ourselves. We could offer that love to ourselves and we could move forward in life differently. And we could offer love to the past of the pain and the heartbreak so we could let it go. But some people aren't inspired to do that. So they keep staying stuck in their Two of Swords Libra energy, staying in denial of the truth, thinking I'll be happy, making my philosophy of life more about these things of the world or my friend or family group or whoever I hang out with. I'm sure this will be good. I don't want to take that cup of love. And so if they don't take that cup of love, that could be more harnessing, more like a Three of Cups energy, where they're being more emotionally manipulated by their more worldly nature. And then, they can be more drawn and attracted to other people who are more manipulated emotionally in their worldly nature. Because it isn't love that motivates and inspires them. And they could, again, just be people who like to indulge themselves in relationships, use their emotions manipulatively, use their sexuality, use their words, talents, skills, social clout, whatever they got, to just use it all to emotionally manipulate people. Other people really are inspired to want to work together with people from truth and love. And some people don't want to do that. You get hurt doing love. And some people don't even believe in love. But what they don't see coming is they're always going to have a mix of people in their life too. Some more high vibrational, some more shadowy, worldly. The more high vibe people have been trying to offer them love and encouragement. And they keep wanting to do this. And eventually the more high vibe people in their life kind of feel like they're missing an opportunity in love and kind of feel like these people don't really want to do love, and maybe that they try to manipulate their more loving nature to keep them in denial of the truth that they're really more about them or the world or something else than moving forward in this relationship in a just and fair, loving way. And so the more high vibrational people in their life are going to take that cup of love and give it to themselves and tell them, I'm not going to keep investing in you anymore. I offer you my cup of love and you keep wanting to repeat some old poor past patterns. I accept the truth of it. and they move on. And they could be really surprised because, again, the loving people in their life were the people who are really putting in work and effort with them. But that's not their truth. So they're going to go align themselves more with the people who probably aren't really offering them love, but are willing to be in, hang out with them, friendship and relationship with them, maybe indulge them for their own reasons and how it benefits them. And they might not want to see the truth, but eventually, how long can you indulge in things that really aren't motivated and inspired by love and keep telling yourself it's living the dream? You're so happy. These people are so great. Oh no, these people have my best interest. You can, and some people will stay in denial till their dying day, and that's when they could realize that it was more superficial, shallow relationships for whatever anybody could get out of it. It really wasn't a very deep relationship. But again, might not be till they meet their maker and realize. But also they might find out if they keep being defensive or prideful or stubborn or immature or egotistical and competitive, they could be sitting there trying to get they could harness this energy in a way where they're trying to get other people to come invest in them and love them. And the other people are like, no, I'm going to move forward with the people who harness this energy in a high vibe way, who do look at life from a higher perspective, who do listen to their intuition, whose philosophy of life is to work together cooperatively in love. And you don't really seem to offer love. You seem to offer more these things of the world that you have, which can just be sex or whatever, It's not really love. And then they'll have to go find someone else. And then they might be defensive because maybe more of the people left in their life are other people who are just like them. And, sometimes if people are bossy or controlling or immature, they like to be in relationships with the loving, patient people who don't act like that. And they don't really want to be in a relationship with someone who's like themselves. But since they weren't willing to be more just and fair with the loving people in their life, they might have to hang out with some people who are more like them. And they can keep doing that if they want, or they could maybe be willing to admit that maybe they had some lessons to learn, and maybe it's not so great. Maybe it might make them see the truth. Shit. I'm saying some of the same things about these people that I have heard some people say about me. Huh. Is that how I acted? Did I act like that? Yes, you did act like that. Anyway, there you go, Libra. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.